Hello and welcome to FGC Philosophy. I'm your host, The Philosopher, and this is where we focus on leveling up inside and outside the virtual arena. We do that by talking about topics and having guests in the show that I think are important and need a little bit more of a spotlight. Today's guest is a streamer, commentator, a member of Belated and CGL Valkyries. Hopefully I said that right.
Yes.
I have on the show Hannah. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for inviting me, Philosopher. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited. So a little bit of backstory. We actually met this weekend over Youmacon. We got to commentate together for Mortal Kombat. We did Mortal Kombat Top 8 together, which was crazy. We had Sonic Fox in that bracket, so that was really exciting for me. You seemed very excited about it as well. But that we had a little bit of a conversation beforehand to get to know each other, which was good because it was better than just, hey, let's sit down, let's commentate. Didn't even get to know each other. So I want to kind of backtrack to learn a little bit more about how you got involved in the FGC.
So I feel like for fighting games for me, I mean, I feel like for Mortal Kombat especially, because I'm mainly involved in that game. I mean, I do play Tekken. I haven't played Street Fighter in a couple years, so I'm probably a little rusty. I do like the older ones, though, of course. But with Mortal Kombat, it probably started when I was probably like everyone else, like a kid. I was playing on a Super Nintendo with my brother and sometimes my dad, because it was my dad's at the time. And we would just play Mortal Kombat 2 all day, all the time on days we don't have school, or if we're waiting for my dad to come home, unlock the door. We go into like the finished basement where like my dad had built this bar for the apartment, and we would play on like this super tiny like TV. And my brother would pick Scorpion. I would either pick like Melina or Reptile, and we would just go at it. Players that my dad liked, just in case if anyone's curious, Raiden and Baraka, sometimes Shang Tsung, but Raiden and Baraka were his favorites. And Baraka used to scare me so bad. I'm like, why are you picking him? Just because his teeth and like the animations used to really freak me out. But I feel like it started, if I had to give like an age estimate, maybe like 6 or 7, just playing, not knowing like a whole lot about like mechanics or the game, or I didn't really even understand the lore. Like I just knew like the characters, and really I liked Melina because she was pink. That's it.
That's a good reason.
But yeah, but I've played let me see. Trying to think. I don't know. I kind of fell out of Mortal Kombat, I guess, for a couple years because Tekken was such a huge favorite of mine, especially with Tekken Tag Tournament. That was the first Tekken game I ever played. I didn't really care for the other ones. I mean, I have went back and played them at some point, I'm sure. But Tekken 4 and Tekken 5, and of course, I didn't play 6, but 7 is like, of course, where we're at now. But with commentating Mortal Kombat and being involved in the FGC, it all kind of started really when I was on Twitch. And I actually just started streaming this past June. And my first stream, I streamed for like 4 or 5 hours, and I was really doing story mode on easy. And it kind of just caught on from there. And from not really playing, I've went to make it clear, I have went back and played the other Mortal Kombat games, but I really wanted 7, or not 7, I'm sorry, speaking of Tekken, Mortal Kombat 11, the main reason why I bought it was because I used to be obsessed with the Mortal Kombat film, especially Shang Tsung's character, because I thought it was so cool, so evil. I loved him, and the fact that they had the original actor in this game, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna main Shang Tsung, like I'm gonna play him all the time, which is funny because I'm actually a Kung Lao main. But I bought this game and I played story mode, and I thought it was like the coolest thing. And then Titanium Tigers, like I met him through my streams, and Super J, he's a huge supporter, and his first name's Brian, but he goes by Lock Jim. You can usually find him in like Honeybee stream, or you can find him in Beyond Toxin stream. Like he's very, very involved in the FGC, as like a player and just a lover of Mortal Kombat. And he was like, "Hey, there's this all women's player group called Babality. You should check them out. They're on Twitch." And I checked out their channel, and I know that Lumia and Manushka B, they're the two founders. I found them on Twitter and I followed them right away. Well, then I emailed them because that's how you get in. You have to email them and kind of talk a little bit about yourself. I did that, and then, like, the next day, Jen, Lumia, she messaged me back, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, like, here, I'll send you an invite to the Discord and, come hang out in our stream chat." And I didn't know a whole lot about Twitch or, like, how to really work it, but, I didn't get to play the first time that I joined, but I played, I think, the next week. And then the more and more that I was part of this community and talking and competing and all this stuff, I've become like, I don't know, these girls, this community have become like a huge family to me. And Infinity, when I spoke to her at Youmacon, she said the exact same thing. She's like, when you're traveling and you're competing, and you even if you're commentating, she's like, you see a lot of the same players that are popular, like either on Twitch or just competing in general. She's like, you see these people all the time, so it's like a little mini family reunion, which touched my heart a lot because I like the idea of having like, I don't know, because I don't compete a whole lot. If I do, it's for CGL Valkyries. I actually made top 16 players, in CGL Valkyries with Infinity, with Saki Sakura, with, there's a couple other players too, TNV, like, all these other girls were part of this, and the fact that I made top 16 somehow, somewhere, the FGC gods were like, "We're gonna bless you today." But, that happened, and I competed, and I streamed, oh, no, I didn't stream Valkyries, it was Combat Console. Console. Combat Console? Yeah. It was for that, I did stream that part, but I also competed a little bit in that, and it's funny because when girls are like, "Oh, like, Hannah, you gonna compete?" And I'm like, "No." They're like, "Yeah, you are." So they, like, send me the link and I sign up and we go from there, but, I don't know, I feel like if you would've told seven-year-old Hannah, like, "You're gonna be a Twitch streamer, you're gonna do this is gonna be a good hobby, and you're gonna be invited to go to Youmacon, Detroit, Michigan, to commentate, a Mortal Kombat Top 8 tournament," I probably wouldn't know what you're talking about or even believe you. I don't know, I feel like it's one of those, I feel like it's just been kinda, like, building up, I guess. Like, with Twitch streaming, I didn't think I would get this far, I guess. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of views. I have a good amount of followers. I have a little bit over 50 subscribers, so that says something. But it's just so unreal. Like, I find myself beside myself sometimes, just from knowing, like, these excellent players. Because my brother is my biggest competitor, honestly. My brother always beats me in every game, no matter it's fighting game, racing game, shooting game, like, my brother beats me every single time. Well, now that I fight with some very inspiring female players, not only in Belated, but Valkyries, and even just online in general, I can, like, win against my brother now, which is, like, kinda cool. Because I was never really able to do that for a while, and I do have an MK machine behind me. I actually beat him on that a couple times because when I was a kid, like,
Nice.
there's no way. I was always player 2, like, never beating my brother, like, ever. So, but yeah, he's super proud of me, and I appreciate everyone's support and my parents' support, but my brother's support means, like, so much to me. Because fighting games, like, I would compete with him, like, he was my competitor, all day, every day, and, I guess that's kinda how it started, just kinda, like, building up and just playing other games, and I do love Tekken. I don't commentate for them, I wanna take it a little bit seriously, but Mortal Kombat, I think, is probably number 1 for me. I think
Mhm.
Tekken would be number 2, and then number 3, I don't know, because I haven't played all the new gen fighting games.
Yeah.
I did hear Skullgirls was really good, though. I see that a lot of play Skullgirls, do it. So, I
It's a really
guess,
good game. It's hard, but it's good.
yeah, so that's kind of where I got involved not only in fighting games as a kid, I did play 3 a little bit. I did go back and play the first one when I was a kid because my dad wanted to show me, like, "This is where the other characters came from." Because Sonya and Kano weren't in 2, and I'm like, "Who are the people that look like this when they're, like, hanging up?" Like, I don't know where that came from, and then I played
Oh
the first game and
yeah.
I kinda understood.
Huh.
Um, 3 was interesting because, I mean, my grandma had it for whatever reason, I don't know why, playing it on the Sega Genesis, and, I don't know, it was the first game where you had, like, the run button, you had combos and all this stuff. I didn't get it. Of course, now I play it because it's on my machine. But yeah, I think for a while when I dropped out of playing Mortal Kombat, I guess because my brother had the Xbox and PlayStation, I had a GameCube. So if I did play fighting games, it was Smash Brothers, which I still love today. Have
Mhm.
not played the new one. I
Oh,
don't
that's
think I'll
good.
compete in Smash Bros, but I have loved Smash Bros, especially Melee. Melee is my absolute favorite. So I have a little bit of experience with the more like mainstream fighting games. Street Fighter, I really only play if it's the second one. I haven't really played 5. I don't know a whole lot about it at all.
Mhm.
I do think it's a little silly that Blanca was not in it in the beginning. I feel like he should have been on the roster like day 1. But I do like that Poison's in it too. I think Poison would probably be, like, my main because she's from Final Fight originally from the same developer, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
basically how I got started. Twitch really kinda blew up for me, and everything, and playing Mortal Kombat, and not even really, like, playing a whole lot, like, online. It's more like doing towers and, like, grinding, but, now it's the Quan Chi season. Now I do wanna play Combat League 'cause I want that Citrion skin. I don't know how I'm gonna get it, but I want it, and the Baraka skin. The Baraka skin I want the most. It's probably,
Hmm.
like, the first tier when you play it. But yeah, so Twitch kinda really blew it up for me, but I've played fighting games pretty much since I was a kid. Not competing, though. I didn't start competing really until, this past summer, really, is when it started, and I
Okay.
didn't really think I would compete at all, but, everyone's super inspiring and empowering and very, encouraging and supportive. So even if you're not good, and even if, like, you don't know how to find tournaments, Smash GG is a good website. Combat
Mhm.
League is, like, perfect 'cause it's basically like tournament format, but it's not brackets, it's first to 2, which I thought was kinda cool.
Yeah. I don't know if this is you I talked to about this because that weekend is kinda hazy at this point, but, I
Mhm.
remember, basically along the lines of what you're talking about with if you're not good, going to tournaments, and essentially what the topic was is kind of in my opinion, and you can elaborate on this, but from my point of view, if you want to compete, but you think that you're not good enough, not going to a tournament is not how you rectify that issue. Going to a tournament and getting bodied and playing with people and having casuals is how you rectify that issue. So I want to know
Yes.
what your thoughts are on that one.
I can agree with that. With Scars Unseen, I played against her online, and she's like, "Do you want some games?" And she's like my favorite player. Like I love Scars Unseen, and she was known as Miley Cyrax when she was competing for NKX because she used Cyrax Sector. Any of the androids, which I didn't notice this until like a couple months ago, she only plays robots.
That's a great
So
name.
I love it. Miley Cyrax, I thought it was so cool, and I played against I used my Kung Lao against her Cabal at the time, and then she switched to Frost. I still stay with Cabal because or not, stay with Kung Lao because I know him the most, not Cabal. Which I am practicing a little bit with Cabal, but I wanna focus on Citrion, but anyways, so she told me that if you wanna get good, play against good and better players. That's how you learn. And, going to tournaments, going to locals, even if it's just something online, even if it's like a small tournament or even like joining a lobby in like a cough, like having that type of practice. And the thing with fighting games is that you have to really put in the time. You have to put in the time to learn your character, the combos, the pokes, um, even frame data, which personally for me as a competitor is sad because I'm still like kind of learning it. I have the gist of it. I am looking at more like Combat Academy to kind of help with me. I know a lot of competitors in the beginning, like that are very amateur, like myself. Usually use that website for like a refresher, or just to learn something new. But I 100% agree with that statement.
Cool. Something else I want to understand a little bit more because you talked about Babe Aladdin, you talked about CGL Valkyries, and I guess I want to know a little bit more about like the benefits because obviously I'm a guy, I don't really quite know that. I have my own groups that I
Yeah.
participate in, but as a female, I want to know, what is the benefit of having like an all female group, and what are some like I guess insight that you can share with me.
With Babality, it's this hmm, because I've only joined Babality for a couple months, it's this safe environment for female players only, whether you're casual, whether you only like the lore, whether you only like the artwork or how the game looks, or even if you do competitive, everyone is super supportive. And as a female, as a video game player who's not a boy, it's nice because I mean, I feel like I don't know, it's kinda hard to explain. Here's how I put it. So, Babality is more like the learning aspect. It's more of the, experience benefit that you get from it. With
Mhm.
CGL Valkyries, that's the competitive side, which here's the thing, with both environments, with CGL Valkyries and Babality, they're they're both very supportive. They're both very encouraging, very inspiring, very empowering, fierce players on both ends. Because a lot of us, when Valkyries started, I mean, they're hand in hand with Babality. So me and Saki Sakura TV, she's my co-streamer, and she's a huge competitor for Mortal Kombat. She's definitely killing it with her Jade. She's absolutely insane. Same with Infinity, same with Roma Nova. We're all from not only Babality, but we're also part of Valkyries too. So it kind of like goes hand in hand, you could say. But there's tons of benefits just if you, I don't know, say if you're in that situation where you feel like you're not good enough or you feel like you're not valued, or if you have this personal issue and you need someone to talk to, especially if it's like a female, it's like a sorority. It's like a group of sisters. Like we're here for you, like we love you. And, if you feel like something or someone's tearing you down, like you can come to us and, we'll figure it out together. Like it's all cool. And it's just this big support group on either side. I interact more with Babality just because that's where the majority of us are. Now, Tex Decimal CGL, she is the one who created Valkyries, and she's also in Babality. So all of us just like talk together. I talk to these ladies every single day, whether it's a Twitter chat, whether it's on Twitter in general, or just in the Discord. Like we all talk to each other, and we're constantly growing, which is really cool too. And one of the last times I commentated, not this last time for the vintage cough, we did MKX for like a vintage thing. Everyone wanted Melina, so that's why we did it. We miss our Queen Melina. And, the one before that, believe I was on the anniversary of Babality when it was created. I mean, Babality for Lumia and Manushka B, it's been 6 months in the process, but a year of actually doing it, which is really cool. So this year and a half passion project for Lumia, um, honestly, without these girls or even her and Manushka giving me these opportunities, even Tex with CGL Valkyries, because I originally wasn't going to compete. I wasn't going to do anything like that. And for me as a competitor, I'm not even that great. I'm really not. I do try my hardest. I do lab the majority of the time when I do have the time. Um, and I want to be able to take that a little bit more seriously. Plus, with commentating, but without these women, like, a lot of us would not be here, and same for the gay and the transgender community, because we do have a lot of girls who are part of that, and sometimes they need a support group too. Like, we're all sisters, like, we're all here for the same reason. So those are, like, the main benefits that kinda gives you an idea. It just gives us, like, a safe place to be in, and we're all supportive of each other.
For sure. I'm going to try to, I guess, explain it from my point of view, and then you can kind of poke holes in where I might be wrong. Because one, I think that it's really important to have this sort of thing. And I've had a conversation with a few people, and while I'm forced, I wouldn't call it a support group per se, but a group of people that are similar in some way. Like I'm a minority, and so as such, like there's definitely situations that I've had where I have to have conversations with people of my own kind. That doesn't mean that I dislike anybody else or anything like
Right.
that, but sometimes there's only situations that a person just like me can relate to. And
Yes.
uh, I think that's a beautiful thing, because then you can all kind of grow together and then go back out into the bigger community of, the FGC, for example, and be stronger because of it. Whereas a lot of people, I think, have this misconception that it's we're pushing towards equality. They shouldn't want to do this sort of thing, and just
I
maybe for one
remember
reason
that.
or another, don't really understand it. And I had this conversation actually today in university esports, because they were talking about an all-girl team, and some people were against it. And I'm like,
Right.
who is it hurting? They can still compete with whatever. It's not really hurting anybody. And so,
Exactly.
but I don't like to assume anyone's situation that I can't
Right.
relate to. So it's, I want to try to understand it, but also help other people understand it as well that might be against it, or maybe on the fence, or just don't understand it and don't know why it's even a big deal. And
Yeah.
I will say sometimes, again, from my point of view, you deal with people who don't know your situation, or are judgmental, or just make you feel uncomfortable. Even if they're not trying to, you still feel uncomfortable. It's not fun to be around that all the time. You want to be around people who make you feel comfortable, who encourage you, who understand your situation.
I 100% agree with that. Now, so I remember when Valkyries was first announced, and Tex Decimal has worked so hard on this project. She's put her time, her life, her blood, sweat, and tears in it. And I I can see a gentleman's point of view, But the thing is that with Valkyries, not even separate from Babality, because Babality, that's more of like the learning experience. With CGL Valkyries, it's more competitive. So with that being said, it's more of hmm, it's more of creating like this environment for girls who want to compete, not even learn, just compete and get that
Mhm.
experience and, have a resource of where, here's this link to this tournament, here's when we're starting this, here's who you're fighting against, here's how you can grow and all this stuff. With a female competitor going to like EVO or Combo Breaker or CEO, because I know those are the big 3, or even something like Youmacon, like, you want to be able to feel comfortable around everyone, and I know there's some women who which I don't know, I haven't really witnessed this yet. I have gone to a couple Twitter fights, I will say, which I
That'll happen.
apologize. I'm not super, like, feminist. I mean, I'm not super, like, how can I explain? I'm not a man-hating person. I
Mm.
think video games are for everyone, all ages, gender neutral, man, female, like, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. But I feel like with I'm not a man-hating feminist, but I am for feminism, and I believe that there are still some gentleman players who believe men are better than women, and I don't necessarily think that is because you look at someone like Infinity. Infinity is, like, the perfect example because she's playing with the big boys. Like, she's playing and she's fighting, and she always has such a positive attitude, and I believe that's what CGL Valkyries wants all their female players to feel like. It's basically just creating this environment where as a competitor, as a female competitor, whether you're, experienced or not, which I'm not an experienced competitor, like, I compete as much as I can when I have the time, but it's to make sure that you're comfortable, basically, whether it's online, whether it's in person, or just a really big event, it helps with that sense. And the fact that it's female only just helps a little bit more,
Mhm.
just because it's like it's just finding that common ground in that relation, because if I go up to, like, a male competitor or a male player and I say, "Hey, like, this dude completely like, was sexist towards me and said all this stuff and says I only like Barbies and all this stuff. If I say that
Mhm.
to, like it's kind of a bad example, but if I say that to, like, a male competitor, they're not gonna be like, "Oh, well, it doesn't affect me, so why do I care?" And I'm
Right,
not
right,
saying
right.
that for everyone, because there's a lot of, men that are players that maybe not say out loud, they are feminists, but they're not, like I don't know, it's so hard to explain. There's men who support all women, like, with competing, playing video games, like, no
Mhm.
matter what, and some of them will stick up for you. That has not happened to me just yet, where I've been discriminated or anything, but, I have gotten to a couple Twitter debates and just trying to have people understand that it's not that we're discriminating against another gender, it's just that we're trying to make sure that these female competitors who wanna take it seriously, who wanna travel, who, they want, like, this group or they want this experience, we just wanna make sure that they themselves don't only have the confidence, but we can give them the confidence, we can encourage them, we can help them, we can, have them grow not only as a fighter, but as a player and as a person.
Yeah. Kind of to that note, because like this topic is it's so complex in my opinion. If you like
Very
really dig
complex.
into it,
Yeah.
like to your point, say you did have a terrible example or a terrible experience with somebody, and that terrible person was like your first interaction with the FGC. Well,
Mhm.
if you didn't have something like Babality or CGL Valkyries or groups that I'm a part of that I've been a part of, you might be more inclined to just leave the scene, and
Exactly.
never come back to it, and then realize that there are actually good people. So I think having these sort of these groups that are more specific towards a certain kind of person, not discriminating but just supporting that specific kind of person that can relate to it. It's like, okay, well, not all people are in this community are bad. It may have been that specific person. Give them time to kind of readjust, get their confidence back, because on the other side, it's fascinating because I find myself, I try to be a neutralist, and like I like to understand situations before I really jump one way or the other.
Me too.
And there's people who will act a certain way, like they basically don't discriminate against anybody. Like they'll talk smack to anybody regardless of their race or their gender or their religion. But
Right.
that person that one individual might not realize that and think it's targeted towards them, and then
That's
realize,
true.
like, think that, oh, this whole group of people is completely bad. And on one side, you could argue that that group of people or that one individual from that group doesn't have tact and doesn't have individual respect. But then you could also argue that that person is treating people equally, just in a very untactful way. And so it's
Yes.
like, but people have that gut reaction, and then it's, someone has a negative experience, they're going to react negatively, and then that argument or that disagreement, it just kind of builds from there, and then there's never a conversation. And that kind of stuff is unfortunate to me because I think that a lot of disagreements can be worked out. I think sometimes it's just a matter of separating. But I did want to, like, I think it's an important topic to talk about that I've tried to talk to with different people. Like I remember talking to I think shortly James Chin about like Asians and how they're viewed in America and how they interact, and like his frustration with that, because there's a lot of stereotypes with that as well. So I definitely cannot relate to the experiences that you've had, and it sounds like they've all been good so far.
Yeah,
But I
pretty
can definitely
positive.
believe that that negative things happen, and of course, people will react differently to different genders, whether they realize it or not. And I don't have the answer for that per se, but I do think that for me, I think understanding somebody on an individual basis rather than trying to blanket treat everybody the same way
Right.
isn't the best way to go about it. Um,
Yes.
but I also know it can be challenging for someone who may not be part of the FGC to be exposed to a certain kind of type of personality,
Player.
because there's certain cities and certain states have a different like culture altogether, and if you go from like one state to
Yes.
another state, it can be a culture shock. And sometimes people, like, the loudest voices usually are the ones that are most effective, I guess. Whether that's a positive loud voice or a negative loud voice, usually it's it tends to be more negative. But you have loud people like Tasty Steve, who just loves the game and loves everybody in it, as far as I'm aware, at least. But yeah, it's such a hard topic. But I do appreciate your insight on this from your point of view, because I think it's something that we have to continue to have a conversation about,
Oh yeah.
just as a
It's a
community.
very it's very controversial, and it's very because you have someone like myself where I'm very new to the FGC. Even though as a kid, like I've played video games, like I've loved fighting games for a very long time, but it's this community that it's like finding the lost city of Atlantis. Like don't you didn't know it existed until you found it, or it until it found you.
Mhm.
And I I eventually asked someone like, "What is FGC, man?" They're like, "Fighting game community." I'm like, "Oh, whoop, duh." So, but I'm just such a newbie because just the world of entering a tournament or getting out of one or signing up for one online or even just like the whole competitive world is way different than just sitting here and playing Mortal Kombat and like enjoying the game. Like it's so different, and someone once told me that if you're gonna be a competitor, you have to how did he say it? He said, "If you want to compete in, like, Mortal Kombat," he's like, "You have to look at it as a job, you can't look at it like it's fun." And he's like, "You can't let your emotions get in the way, you can't be happy when you play." I feel like it kinda depends on the person for that, but with this game, it's like it's brought so like the FGC, as I said earlier, it's like a big family reunion, or it's just a big family in general. This game, just the pure common ground that you like this game and just know so much about it, or if you have the same couple of roster players that you like, and it's I guess my point is that they've brought so many people together. So the fact that the FGC is so huge and I've missed it, like I've been living under a rock, it's so cool that I went to honestly having 0 friends on PSN to having, like, maybe 14 or 15, and those 14 or 15 or even, like, the 50 or 60 people in Babality, like, I it's insane, and the fact that I'm now part of this community, it's like an honor, it's like I don't know what I did or how I got here, but I'm happy, like, regardless. Like, it's like having I don't know, it's like having brothers and sisters that you didn't know that you even had.
Hmm. Yeah, kind
So,
of
it's really
on that
cool.
note, I want to dig a little bit into how you did get to where you did. So I know you said you don't know, but you know, I've noticed a lot of people want to get places, and I think this is a good opportunity for maybe some. I don't really have a large female listening base right now, but hopefully that'll
Mhm.
change in the future. But if
Yes.
whether it be a guy or a girl, in your situation, what do you think you did to get to where you are? Like I know you're probably going to say there's people higher than you, but you are where you are. You commentated right next to me, and you did just as good as me, if not better. So I think
Thank
that
you.
you, in my opinion, have the ability to share advice. Everyone has a starting place, and you're not at ground zero right now. So what do you think you did to get to where you are, and what kind of advice can you give to people who want to be where you are?
Um, hmm. I guess I guess the only thing that I can compare that to would be streaming on Twitch. I'm gonna use Twitch as, like, a pretty big example because that's not only how I got into the FGC, but how I discovered it as well. It's just really staying consistent, being yourself, being as genuine and honest as you possibly can. Um, if you feel alone in the FGC or if you want more gamer-like friends, whether they're in person or if they're online, go to your locals, go to online tournaments, like, talk to people, join a community. Because honestly and I give Babality so much credit because if Lumia didn't give me the opportunity to commentate, I don't know where I would be. Because it was between me and Saki Sakura TV, and I told Lumi, like, like, "I don't know if I wanna do this, like, I don't know a whole lot about the game, like, I know about the lore and, like, the homages and the references, like, I know everything about that and, like, the timeline," even though with MKX, like, I didn't play it as much, but I know the lore, like, I know the story, like, I know the characters and whatever else, and she's like, "Oh, like, you'll be fine, you'll be good." So, she's like, "Just try it." She's like, "Even if you feel like you didn't do a good job," she's like, you're just here and, you're experiencing it, see if you like it." So, Saki Sakura, I told her, I said, "You go ahead and commentate first, and then maybe next week I'll go." 'Cause Lumi had given us, the opportunity because her and Manushka B have been doing it for so long, commentating every Friday from 8 to 10, for MKX, which in Lumi's words was a dead game. So when MK11 came out, it was like perfect because now there's a new Mortal Kombat fighting game. There's all these new players that want to come in and and play and all these characters and the lore and everything's just so different and so new. And I mean, with personal parts that I won't go into just because it's not for me to say. Lumia had come to our we had actually a Babality meeting and she's like, "I need help." She's like, "I want more co-hosts. I want this to grow more. Like I want to give you guys she said clout, but which I don't care for. I think it's a silly thing. But she said, "I want you guys not only to get experience, but I want you guys to compete. I want you to play. I want you to grow. Like I want to be there for you guys like you guys have been there for me." And I think without her and even Manushka B, not giving anyone any type of experience, like I wouldn't be here. And the fact that Lumi trusted me, she thought I was cool enough. She saw something in me and she's like, "We're gonna do this." And same with Saki, because Saki, she commentates quite a bit. And I know that she has a monthly shrine. I think it's Battle of the Sakura's monthly shrine. She has it like once a month, every so often. But I told her, I said, if you need a commentator, like let me know and I'll commentate with you because her first tournament, she was kind of dry. So she was commentating by herself. I'm like, dude, you could have texted me. Like, I'm right here. Like, you could have said something. But I commentate with her for her tournament to help her out and everything, and, I don't know, it's cool because not only do I get to make a connection with my friend, but I get to make a connection to the viewers and the competitors and the players, and because 'cause we're all interacting with each other. It's like this big snowball, like, we're all talking, we're all sharing this advice and this love for this game, and not only just for Mortal Kombat, but for the FGC in general. So I guess just put yourself out there, as scary as it seems. Go to your locals, sign up somewhere online, join a community, join someone's Discord. Discord is, like, so awesome when it comes to finding, like, communities, and not even just within the FGC, but, like, what would you like, shooters or RPGs, like, just
Hmm.
you can find anything on Discord. My advice is put yourself out there, be as authentically you as you possibly can. Always be honest and stay on everyone's good side. Like, don't be mean, don't be awful, like, I don't know, like, I know some people just have, like, that type of personality where they're just not likable. Like, try to be likable because the more that people like
It's
you
good
and the
advice.
more that you're genuine and, I don't know, I guess, like, try to be funny, I guess. I don't know, sometimes I'm funny when I don't try to be. I don't
Yeah,
know, it's
I'm not
very weird,
funny.
but I think
I'm
you're
not
funny.
funny at all. I don't try to be. I swear. It's just I'm funny when I try not to be. That's just how it works out. So I just to your point, yes, be yourself, and then you'll probably make people laugh if you're good at it, or if you're just
Yeah,
I'm really awkward, but I'm just okay with being awkward, honestly. But that leads me to a really good question that I've been thinking about a lot. Like me and my fiance drove home and talked about this for like a good 2 hours,
mhm.
because she's not the kind of personality where she wants to be the center of attention. So but this conversation sparked because she was talking about like not being able to do something like that, but she also doesn't want that. But what if you come across someone who does want to either stream or compete or be a commentator, but they're just like, man, I can't have all those eyes on me. I can't do that kind of thing. Like, what kind of mental gymnastics do you go through? Because we both talked about this before, being nervous. Like, what do you do in your mind before you stream? How do you get into that mindset so that you are afraid, but you still do what you have to do?
I think it's just keeping up with the consistency, and I feel like so I think I'm gonna use this as an example because you said about, people looking at you, like you being on camera, you streaming, you being live, people seeing you in person, and maybe someone doesn't wanna feel like that, maybe they don't want to be seen. You can still stream without even having a camera, like, you can just even if you don't have, like, a mic, which I'm using Blue Yeti, but you can have something like this and just do that and not even be, like, on screen, but you can still show your gameplay. Titanium Tigers, he's actually a very good friend of mine, and he's a very big competitor. When he streams, he does not have a face cam, and you can still commentate, and you can still stream and play and talk, and even talk with your viewers as you're playing, but you don't have to be seen if you don't want to. But for the mental gymnastics for me personally, I feel like I have now gotten used to the sound of my voice the more that I do it, even though I hate
That's
my
hard to
voice
do,
in
but yeah.
general. And, I feel like being seen like this, like, on camera, like, I have, like, my makeup done, like, my hair is done, I'm in a very comfortable hoodie, like, I have a very nice headset on, but it's like it's the moments where you just kinda say, like, "F it," basically, like, "This is me, this is what I look like, if you don't like it, you can ban someone or you can time them out, whatever." I mean, there's always gonna be trolls, there's always gonna be that spark of insecurity that you're gonna have, but even if you don't want to be seen, even just stream just in the beginning with no face cam, and then maybe make it I don't know, maybe, like, get comfortable with Twitch first and streaming and working it and all that good stuff, and then, if you feel comfortable, it's up to you. Like, when it comes to streaming and you showing your face, there's no rush to it. Everyone is on their own path, everyone has their own content, their own type of, like, way of being, I guess. Um, I feel like in the beginning, it wasn't super hard to keep streaming. I feel like the hardest, honestly, with streaming is the consistency with your schedule, which for me personally, I'm an extremely tired person. Even though I'm more awake at night, during the day, I'm extremely exhausted. And it's probably because I work full time. I'm 24. So, I mean, with having anxiety medication as well, it does help just a little bit as well. Um, so with stuff like that, it's just I don't know, I feel like I'm rambling. Um,
Yeah.
just the mental gymnastics that I go to, it's not the more it's like a habit. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get.
Hmm.
And for me personally, as of lately, it's not hard to stream, but in the beginning, it's always because in the beginning, you think of numbers. Don't think of numbers until you're like Ninja. Don't think of the numbers yet. Have fun with it. Don't take it too seriously. Stream as long as you want. I think my longest stream was probably 9.5 hours, and I was playing The Evil Within. You could tell near the end of that stream it was
Jeez.
bedtime for Hannah. Like, I was very angry at the end of those streams, but just have fun with it. Um, if you're having some insecurities, maybe, like, cut your hair or change your hair color or I don't know. Like, you don't have to show your face if you don't want to, but I do think it's good to just be comfortable with yourself, to make that space bubble, like,
Hmm.
because me, inside this stream room, which I call the sanctuary, because this is my place of relaxation, how I am here, I have gotten more comfortable being the same out there. So I think it just kinda depends on the person and your insecurity level. That's what I'm gonna call it. My insecurity level on Twitch was up to here, now it's, like, down to here, just because,
Hmm.
especially with Babality, um, everyone's just super supportive and it gets easier. It gets so much easier, and if you don't wanna be seen, you don't wanna be seen. But if you do, it's I feel like it's healthy for you, and you don't always have to have a face cam. Like, I don't have to have a face cam, but I do because how am I gonna show off my Mortal Kombat arcade machine if no one sees it? Same with Jason. Jason's a new addition, but still, like, it just kinda depends on the person. It depends on your setup too. Like, I have a setup like this for a reason, and usually in my streams, I have a back camera, which it's not set up because I used the camera for my pumpkin carving stream, so there's probably pumpkin all over it. But usually my back camera in my streams also looks at my setup, so it just kinda depends on your personal taste, I think.
Hmm. I want to try my best to kind of break that down and share
I ramble
my.
a lot.
I'm the same way, so I kind of get that. And so I want to share some things that I learned along my journey. You can kind of let me know, and I'll share an analogy beforehand to kind of go along with what you were talking about.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about the awkwardness or getting the consistency down, I think about learning fighting games to the same extent. Because
Mm,
when you first learn fighting games, and say you're unfamiliar with fighting games, not like you're coming from like 10 years of Street Fighter franchise to MK. I'm talking about like you're brand new and you're trying to learn how to play this game that is very weird and has weird inputs compared to any other game out there. Uh,
mhm.
it's really awkward, and it's not until you do it a bunch of times over and over again does it start to feel less awkward. It's still kind of awkward, and you're still going to make a lot of mistakes as you get to play more experienced people, but it gets easier and easier and easier. And so you
Mhm.
start getting combos down. You stop, instead of a stutter, maybe you just stumble over your words a couple times, but you keep, you adjust and you move forward this time rather than
Mhm.
letting it lock you up and just turtling up and blocking the whole time. You get more used to that kind of stuff. And I think that's kind of goes along with your mindset. And we talked about
Mhm.
this during the stream, I'm pretty sure, but just
Yeah.
when you're thinking about these kind of things, how do you learn the practice that I recommend is one of the things that you can practice with this is learning to focus your attention. So rather than focusing your attention on what you might be thinking that makes you feel uncomfortable or insecure, focus more on how you can be the best version of yourself. And
Yes.
it starts with recognizing what you're thinking about that makes you feel uncomfortable. Like why do you not like being on stream? Why do you not like people looking at you? Why do you not like what is the reason? And it kind of varies from person to person. It could be, oh, I just don't like people, it could be your appearance, it could be how you talk, it could be your level of intelligence, it could be your ethnicity or your gender. Um,
Mm.
but you start to realize as you pay attention to why you feel insecure that maybe that's not as logical as you thought it was, and
Mm.
maybe that doesn't even really matter. And I don't want to, again, I don't like assuming, but I think that it's important for the individual to analyze what makes you feel insecure and then learn that you can feel that feeling, but still, being brave doesn't mean that you're fearless. Being brave is having that fear and realizing that you don't have to give it attention and focusing more on what you can do. You can work on your enunciation. You can work on studying your frame data. You can work on learning about the chemistry of you and your co-commentator or your stream, or how to interact with people. There's resources that you can learn. Just like there's tutorials for learning how to play a character or play a game. There's tutorials on how to make better eye contact, how to be more charismatic. For me personally, I totally reinvented myself, and I read books. I'm like, what is eye contact? Because I didn't understand like how to even make eye contact with another human being, how to talk with people. And so that's what I've noticed for me is kind of the awkwardness, that game analogy, and then also just, where is your focus? Why is it there? And how can you focus it on what you need to do?
I absolutely agree with that, and you summed up all my rambling into that one wonderful explanation. That's exactly it. It's just trying to be comfortable with yourself and trying to get past the insecurities, because it really, at the end of the day, whether you stutter or say something wrong, or say if I have like a pimple or whatever right here, if I have like lipstick all over me, really at the end of the day, no one's going to think about that. It's really just, in a way, it's just really all in your head for the most part. It is all in your head. And I
Mhm.
think the more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to get. It's like riding a bike.
I agree 100%. So on that note, where the last question, of course, is, what do you have going on that people can check out, and what do you want to plug? Where can people find you and the organizations that you are affiliated with?
Yeah. So, definitely CGL Valkyries, 100% Babality. If I'm not playing or commentating on their stream, I'm always in their chat no matter what on Twitch. Also, I do have my own Twitch channel. I am going to try to be a little bit more consistent with my schedule. Twitch, it's really weird because there's not really a way to pronounce my username. It is Han Rose Dave. It's basically my entire name. It's just shortened quite a bit. Which my usernames, it's the exact same as my Twitch, my Instagram, which I'm not super active, but if you want to check it out, you can. My Twitch, I am probably going to start focusing a little bit more on playing Combat League on Mortal Kombat. I'm just trying to unlock as many things as I can. Tekken, I do want to play a lot more. Death Stranding is coming out this Friday, so I'm hyped for that. And you know what? I might get the upgrade because I need to get like the gold, like the shiny armor. Oh, I just really want it. And plus the fact that Mads Mikkelsen's in it is my favorite actor. I love him. I think he's amazing as Hannibal Lecter. If you haven't seen Polar, it's a fantastic movie. But I'm excited for that. But usually it's usually like Wednesday nights, Friday nights, Saturdays, and Sundays is usually my Twitch schedule. But all updates, I'm constantly on Twitter. Again, Hanros Dave. I'm constantly on there, and not just for Babality, but also like for me, like in general too. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really have a whole lot of other social media, but Twitch is definitely my biggest. My Twitch and my Twitter usually where you can find all my updates, or if you want to talk to me or hang out, that's fine too.
Okay. Where can they find those organizations that you're talking about, Babality and CLG Valkyries?
Yeah, so Babality can be found on Twitch. They also have a Twitter now at Babality, at Babality FGC. And CGL, which is Console Gaming League, Valkyries, they also, I don't believe they have a Twitch channel yet. I can actually check, just in case. I do not believe that they do yet. But Valkyries, it is more of a tournament when it comes up. But if you are accepted into the tournament, they will most likely put you in the Discord. And the thing with with Babality and CGL Valkyries, because it's female only, it's invite only. So if you are a female, especially if you're transgender, does not matter. Any female identifying player, if you want to be part of these communities, definitely let us know. Email. I think Lumia has hers. It's on basically all the information. It's on Babality, which again, like I said, Babality and Valkyries are hand in hand. So if you want to be part of Valkyries, all you have to do is get into Babality.
Awesome. Well, there you have it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hopefully you learned a lot from this conversation. I know I sure did. But as always, we're going to have the show notes down below in the description for all the links and everything. So make sure you check that out. I'll get those for you guys. But I'm the Philosopher. Thank you guys so much. And I will see you all in the next one.
Bye, guys. Thank you.